The inaugural virtual meeting, whose theme was Unity Across Continents and Oceans, Opportunities for Deepening Integration, brought together several leaders from Africa and the Caribbean. The aim, to use their mutual historic and cultural ties to jointly develop their regions economically.
The African continent has 38 coastal states and island states, and a coastline of well over 47,000 kilometers. All members of states of CARICOM, they enjoy access to approximately 1 million square miles of the Caribbean Sea. This presents enormous opportunities to strengthen and foster innovative partnerships across the two regions to sustainably exploit and harness the potential of the blue economy.
The first thing that we must do, above all else, in the words of Robert Nesta Marley, as he immortalized the words of Marcus Messiah Garvey, is to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. The mental slavery that has us seeing north only. The mental slavery that has us trading north only. The mental slavery that has us not recognizing that between ourselves, we constitute 1/3 of the nations of the world. The mental slavery that has prevented direct trade links or direct air transport between Africa and the Caribbean. The mental slavery that has blocked us from reclaiming our Atlantic destiny.
With a joint population of 1.4 billion people, the two regions agreed to use their numbers and their resources as their bargaining power to have their voice heard in the global decision-making bodies for the benefit of their people. The success of the Africa medical supplies and the Africa vaccine acquisition facilities, giving them impetus to forge ahead as one.
We must mobilize the global community behind the call for a temporary waiver of the TRIPS agreement at the World Trade Organization, and must continue to lobby for partnerships on licensing and technology transfer with those countries that have the capacity to produce their own vaccines. Gone must be the time now when Africa and the Caribbean will need to be sourcing medical supplies and vaccines from other lands and continents that do not have the same perspective of full solidarity that we have.
We are the suppliers of vital commodities to the global community and a strong market for the goods and services of the European market as well as North America. But we need to utilize those resources for our own benefit rather than to preside over extractive economies. Additionally, together we have the voting power of 69 nations in the United Nations and all of some subsidiary organizations, including the World Trade Organization. And I refer to that group as the group of 69, the G69. We have global bargaining power, but only if we use it effectively.
Ahead of the Climate Change Summit in Glasgow later this year, the two leaders agreed to push developed nations to keep emissions below 1.5 degrees Celsius to save them from the devastating effects of global warming.
The multiple storms and floods, my brother, that you have seen across Africa, and the multiple hurricanes and droughts and sargassum weed that you see across the Caribbean reinforce that we are the victims of that climate crisis that we did not create, that are the victims of the same greed that caused the extraction of wealth from our countries across both sides of the Atlantic in order to enrich those who sought to have a development projection based on that extraction of our wealth and the use of primary commodities to continue to be the basis for them to add value that way exceeds that which we receive for primary commodities.
The countries agreed to push for reparative justice for crimes committed against Africans and Caribbeans during colonization and slavery, respectively. Sarah Kimani, SABC News, Kenya.